of unstoppable human will. A man is only as strong as his promise to himself. All the books, strategies, and motivators in the world are powerless compared to the silent, sacred oath you whisper to your own soul, the promise you make in the privacy of your heart with no audience, no applause, and no one to hold you accountable but yourself. This is the foundation on which fortunes are built and lives are transformed. It is the difference between those who dream and those who become. You will find that every lasting success story is not merely the result of talent, luck, or circumstance, but of an iron determination to keep faith with oneself. Memorize this. The man who cannot trust himself to do what he says will eventually trust nothing. The man who breaks his own word erodes his power, his confidence, and his very self-respect. All discipline, all character, all achievement begins with the question, will I honor my own commitments? Or will I betray myself when no one is watching? Do not underestimate this. For in the hours when the world is asleep and you alone know the promises you have made, your future is either being built or quietly destroyed. I have seen it time and again. Men who start with fire in their bellies, ambitions as high as mountains, and the grandest of plans. They roar their goals to the world, impress their friends, perhaps even inspire a few doubters. Yet, as the weeks and months pass, the old patterns return. The habits of yesterday reclaim their territory, and the promise, the sacred vow to improve, to conquer, to become, slips quietly away. These men join the millions who spend their lives excusing, explaining, and apologizing instead of accomplishing. Why? Because they forgot the law. Your subconscious mind is listening to everything you say and do. It watches as you make promises and break them. It registers every missed appointment, every skipped workout, every ignored commitment. With every broken word, you teach your mind that your intentions are meaningless, and your results follow. Memorize this if you wish to rise above the crowd. Success is not a public event, but a private victory. Before anyone else believes in you, before any opportunity arrives, before any doors swing open, you must prove to yourself that your own word is law. When you make a promise to yourself, you must keep it, no matter how small, no matter how inconvenient, no matter if the world notices or not. Every time you keep your own promise, you build inner strength. You forge a reputation with yourself as a man who can be counted on. This self-trust becomes the bedrock for every other achievement. Break the chain, and your future becomes a series of abandoned dreams. But keep the chain, and you become unstoppable. How, then, does one become the kind of man who never breaks his own promise? It starts with clarity. Be precise. Do not make vague, grand declarations in moments of excitement or despair. Be specific. Say to yourself, I will rise every morning at 6 a.m. and train for 30 minutes. Or, I will finish this chapter before midnight. Or, I will invest 10% of every dollar I earn. The mind needs targets, not wishful thinking. Do not try to overhaul your life in a single day. Instead, make one clear promise and keep it come hell or high water. Understand this principle. The smallest promise kept is infinitely more valuable than the grandest goal forgotten. Start small if you must, but start. And when temptation comes, and it will, remember, your greatest enemy is not the world, but the silent voice inside urging you to take the easy way out. Defeat that voice, and you have defeated every obstacle you will ever face. You may ask, what if I fail? Do not mistake a stumble for a defeat. Every man falters. What matters is what you do next. When you break a promise to yourself, do not wallow in guilt or self-judgment. Instead, renew your vow. Learn the lesson. Ask, why did I falter? Was my promise clear? Was it realistic? Was I truly committed? Adjust if necessary, but never abandon the practice of keeping your word to yourself. The more you practice, the stronger you become. Write this on the walls of your mind. The man who honors his own word commands the respect of others. People can sense integrity. They can feel the weight of a person whose inner world is governed by discipline and honor. These men are trusted, sought after, and ultimately they lead. If you want to attract better opportunities, greater alliances, and lasting wealth, start by honoring your own word, consistently, quietly, without fanfare. Do not let comfort, fatigue, or impatience seduce you into breaking your own promises. There will be days when your spirit is weary and your mind will search for every excuse. These are the days that count most. Each act of self-discipline is a deposit in your account of self-respect. Each act of self-betrayal is a withdrawal. Eventually, the balance is visible to the world. What you see in the mirror, pride or regret, depends on this daily accounting. In the end, remember this above all. The future is not shaped by the promises you make to others, but by the ones you keep with yourself. Every great life is the result of 1,000 private victories, of rising when it would be easier to sleep, of working when it would be easier to quit, of choosing faith when fear shouts its objections. Memorize this. Live by it. Make and keep your promise, and you will become a force that nothing can stop. The man who does this does not need luck or applause. His destiny is already assured. Now, let us go deeper into the mechanics of this principle. To master yourself, you must first understand that every action, every delay, every compromise you permit becomes a message to your subconscious. You are training your inner self, either for victory or for defeat, by what you allow, and more importantly, by what you refuse to allow. In the silence of your mind, a contest is always underway. The battle between the man who makes excuses and the man who makes progress. Your character is not forged by what you do when it is easy or when you are motivated, but by what you do when every cell of your body demands rest, when every voice around you tells you it is acceptable to lower your standards. This is when the real promise is tested, not in comfort, but in discomfort. If you truly want to transform, do not wait for the world to become easier or for your emotions to align perfectly with your ambitions. The promise you make to yourself is a contract, unbreakable, not because you signed it in public, but because you sealed it with your will. The world has trained most men to believe that their word is flexible, that discipline is negotiable, and that it is permissible to fail themselves so long as nobody notices. Memorize this. The only true loss is the loss of self-trust. The only real defeat is to become numb to your own broken commitments. It is not enough to say, I want to change, or I will do better. Wanting, wishing, hoping, these are the habits of those who circle the same mountain year after year, never climbing, always dreaming. It is decision followed by daily action that changes the direction of your life. The promise you make to yourself must be so clear, so unyielding, that it cuts through the fog of uncertainty. Write it down. Post it where you see it every day. Say it aloud each morning. This is not superstition. It is the science of self-command. Let us be practical. Do not set yourself up for failure by making 20 promises and hoping to keep them all by sheer force of will. Pick one. Make it the most important, the one that, if kept, would pull all others in its wake. For some, this is the discipline of rising early. For others, It is the refusal to waste another day in mindless distraction. For you, it may be a commitment to daily study, or to speak the truth in all things, or to honor your financial obligations without fail. Whatever it is, make it so non-negotiable that there is no discussion, no rationalization, no bargaining with yourself. You must become, in your own mind, a man whose word is iron. Expect resistance. Your old self will rise up. Your body will seek the comfort of familiar routines. Your mind will invent 100 clever excuses. When this happens, do not negotiate with yourself. The moment you enter debate, you have already lost. Instead, act. Move. Do what you promised. Action silences doubt, while hesitation amplifies it. The first week may be difficult. The second may be harder. But each act of discipline weakens the chains of your old habits, and soon what was once impossible becomes effortless. Be vigilant for the traps of self-deception. There is a subtle danger in letting yourself off the hook just this once. Remember this: every exception you make becomes a precedent, and precedents quickly become patterns. One skipped workout becomes 2. One day of procrastination becomes a week. One broken promise soon infects your entire standard of living. Guard your standards with your life, for they will become your life. To reinforce your promise, enlist the power of visualization. Before you begin your day, close your eyes and see yourself as the man who never breaks his own word. Picture yourself acting with discipline, finishing what you start, refusing the easy way out. Feel the pride that comes from self-mastery. This is not wishful thinking, but training for your subconscious. The mind moves in the direction of its dominant images. If you see yourself as weak, you will act weakly. If you see yourself as strong, you will find strength where others find excuses. Also, develop the habit of self-reflection. Each night, review your day with honesty. Did you keep your promise? Did you let yourself down? If you succeeded, celebrate quietly. If you failed, do not condemn yourself, but do not excuse yourself either. Find the reason, adjust your approach, and resolve to do better tomorrow. This is not self-judgment, but self-leadership. Leaders correct course. Losers justify mistakes. You must also learn to insulate your promise from the influence of others. There will always be those who consciously or unconsciously try to weaken your resolve. They may laugh, criticize, or offer distraction. Remember, you did not make your promise to them. You made it to yourself for yourself. Let their doubts strengthen your determination. Let every naysayer be fuel for your fire. As your record of keeping promises grows, you will notice a subtle but powerful transformation. Your confidence will rise, not from arrogance, but from evidence. You will walk differently, speak differently, approach every challenge with the quiet certainty of a man who knows he can rely on himself. The world senses this, and opportunities, resources, and people of quality will be drawn to you as surely as iron to a magnet. The disciplined mind becomes a beacon, and others cannot help but notice. Do not underestimate how rare this quality is. In a world of excuses and shifting standards, the man who is known for doing what he says, regardless of circumstance, becomes a leader by default. Others will seek your counsel, trust your word, and follow your example. Not because you are infallible, but because you are consistent. Consistency breeds credibility, and credibility breeds influence. If you are struggling now, if you feel the weight of many broken promises, do not despair. The past is not your prison unless you choose to live there. Begin again today with one promise, one action, one victory. Do not wait for perfect motivation. Do not wait for inspiration. Begin now, even if you must drag yourself forward. For each time you do, you are strengthening the most valuable muscle you possess, the ability to command yourself. And in the end, that is the only command that matters. Memorize this above all. The future belongs not to those who make the most promises, but to those who keep the promises they make. Your destiny is not shaped by your intentions, but by your follow-through. The great men of history were not the most talented or the most favored. They were the most relentless in keeping faith with themselves. Make this your creed, and there will be no force, no obstacle, no adversity that can prevent your ascent. The man who keeps his promise to himself is a man to whom all things become possible. To forge ahead with unyielding discipline, you must now understand what most men never discover in their entire lifetime: the silent power of self-reputation. Each day you either build or betray it. Every promise you keep to yourself becomes a stone in the fortress of your self-trust. Every promise you break, no matter how trivial, is a blow to the foundation. This inner reputation is not for the public. It is not about the praise of men or the applause of crowds. It is the only reputation that truly matters, for it determines the limits of what you will ever achieve. A man may lose his fortune and recover it, but if he loses faith in his own word, he is finished before he begins. Ask yourself now, with uncompromising honesty, who do you become when no one is watching? It is there, in the unseen hours, that destiny is decided. You may say you want to become wealthy, influential, or extraordinary, but the world cares nothing for your wishes. The universe responds only to your standards, and your standards are proven not when you make them, but when you keep them. Every time you keep your word to yourself, you make an invisible deposit in the bank of your self-confidence. Over time, these small deposits become a fortune. You find yourself acting boldly where you once hesitated, persisting when others surrender, and speaking your intentions with a voice that compels respect. Why? Because you have trained yourself through relentless discipline to become a man whose word is law. It is not arrogance, but evidence that fuels your confidence. Beware of the small lies you tell yourself, the little betrayals you justify because no one will know. These are the termites in the timber of your character. They seem harmless, but in time they collapse the strongest resolve. Make this your creed. Do not say you will do something unless you mean it, and once spoken, let no excuse, no feeling, no circumstance prevent you from following through. You must become ruthless with your own rationalizations. The man who cannot trust himself is condemned to live in the prison of mediocrity, forever wondering why his dreams wither and die. If you wish to elevate your life, discipline must become your religion. This does not mean living without pleasure, but it means never letting pleasure come before principle. It means rising when you would rather sleep, working when you would rather rest, studying when you would rather be entertained. It means saying no to yourself with the same force that you would say no to your worst enemy. For in truth, your undisciplined self is the only real adversary you will ever face. Consider for a moment the cumulative effect of daily disciplined action. Most men greatly overestimate what they can accomplish in a day, and woefully underestimate what they can achieve in a year of consistency. One brick laid without fail becomes a wall. One honest self-examination, repeated, becomes wisdom. One promise, kept again and again, becomes a new identity. Over time, the small acts of self-mastery compound until you wake one morning and realize you have become someone others cannot ignore or dismiss. Do not wait for ideal conditions or the right time. Success is always born in the midst of inconvenience. If you can keep your promise to yourself when it is raining, when you are tired, when you are uninspired, then you have discovered the secret that separates the average from the extraordinary. Memorize this. Discipline is not something you do, it is someone you become. There will come a time when your promise is severely tested. Adversity will arrive uninvited. Doubt will whisper that you are wasting your effort, that the results are not coming fast enough, that others are making progress more easily. It is in these moments that most men quit, not because they are weak, but because they are untrained. Do not be like them. Decide now, once and for all, that you are not a man who abandons himself, that you will see it through, no matter what. This is the birth of personal power. Build rituals into your life to support your promise. Do not rely on fleeting motivation. Set triggers that make your desired action automatic. If you have promised to read each day, place your book where you cannot avoid it. If you have promised to exercise, lay out your clothes the night before. Remove the friction between your intention and your execution. Your environment should be your ally, not your enemy. Embrace accountability, but not the kind that depends on others chasing you or checking on you. The highest level of accountability is to the man you see in the mirror each morning. Look into your own eyes and ask, did I honor my word yesterday? If the answer is yes, walk out the door with pride. If it is no, do not flee from the truth. Accept it, resolve it, and redeem yourself today. This is the only scoreboard that matters. You will find as your standards rise that your tolerance for excuses shrinks. You will be less patient with your own justifications and less susceptible to the mediocrity of those around you. This is natural. It is the price of growth. You cannot soar with eagles if you flock with turkeys. Your new self-respect will quietly demand that you spend less time in environments, relationships, and routines that undermine your promise. Let me repeat for those who need the lesson carved into their memory. The promise you make to yourself is not a suggestion, but a command. Speak it with the weight of a king. Enforce it with the discipline of a soldier. Protect it as a priest would protect his sacred vow. The world bends for those who cannot be bent. Be wary, too, of the temptation to boast or broadcast your intentions before they are realized. There is a silent strength in the man who simply does what he said he would do without fanfare or applause. Let your results speak so loudly that no one doubts your resolve. Success is not for those who make the loudest declarations, but for those who deliver the most consistent results. In this journey, learn to forgive yourself when you fail, but never to excuse yourself. Weak men rationalize their lapses. Strong men recommit. Every day is a new contract, a new chance to keep faith with yourself. Do not carry yesterday's failures as a burden. Use them as a lesson. Learn, adjust, and advance. Your past does not define you unless you allow it to. Finally, remember that self-mastery is not about denying yourself, but about directing yourself. The man who keeps his promises is not a slave to discipline. He is a master of destiny. He walks with a quiet assurance, unshaken by the storms of life, knowing that he commands the one force that matters most, himself. The world may test you, but it can never conquer you if you have first conquered your own mind. So each day, renew your vow. Rise above the noise. Keep your promise. Do this relentlessly, and you will discover what most men never will. That success, greatness, and fulfillment are the natural byproducts of an unbreakable commitment to yourself. The journey is not easy, but the reward is absolute. Your life will become a living testament to the power of one man's discipline, one man's word kept, one man's promise honored above all else. You must now move beyond mere understanding and into a deeper mastery. a state where keeping your promise to yourself is not a task but your way of being. At this level, you no longer debate with yourself, negotiate with temptation, or wrestle with doubt. You have installed a new law in the parliament of your mind, and you are the unwavering enforcer of that law. Let others break their word. Let others surrender to comfort, but you have outgrown such weakness. You have chosen to belong to a rare breed, the self-commanded. Understand this. The true giants of achievement are not those with the greatest talent or the most favorable circumstances, but those who refuse to be at war with themselves. The average man is his own worst enemy, forever caught between desire and action, intention and execution, promise and performance. He dreams in castles, but lives in shacks of broken commitment. Do not pity him, and do not become him. Real greatness belongs to those who have united their intention and their discipline into one powerful, unstoppable current. Let us talk plainly. If you have ever wondered why your results fall short of your ambitions, look first at the micro-betrayals you have allowed within your own mind. Did you say you would wake up at dawn and then press snooze? Did you plan to finish your work and let distraction steal your attention? Did you resolve to pursue a goal but allow fear to slow your pace? Each of these acts is small, but they are not meaningless. They are the cracks in the dam that holds back your potential. Left unchecked, they become floods that wash away your power. Every man faces a moment where he must choose to keep going or turn back, to harden his resolve or retreat to comfort. These are not the moments of drama and fanfare that the world sees, but the quiet crucibles of character that occur in the privacy of your own mind. Here, in the silence, you are tested. The man who prevails is the one who has built the habit of following through, no matter how small the commitment, until it is no longer a decision, but a reflex. The key to this transformation is repetition. If you want to become unbreakable, you must make your standards non-negotiable and then honor them daily. Start with the simple thing. Make your bed. Show up 5 minutes early. Finish what you start. Each completed promise is a chisel stroke shaping you into the man you intend to become. Soon bigger challenges will arise. Financial discipline, relationship integrity, professional excellence, and you will discover that your new default is to conquer, not to collapse. But beware, discipline is not a destination, it is a journey without end. Complacency is the enemy at every level. The higher you climb, the more cunning your old self will become in tempting you to relax your guard. You will hear the seductive whisper, "You've earned a break, you've done enough." Reject this. Discipline is a muscle. If you do not use it, you lose it. The moment you allow small breaches, you open the door to collapse. The standard you set and enforce today will become the floor, not the ceiling of your future performance. Do not fall for the illusion that others are responsible for your results. No mentor, partner, or system can substitute for your own self-command. Accepting full responsibility is the most liberating decision you will ever make. It transforms you from a beggar at the banquet of life into the master of your own feast. When you decide, "No one will out-discipline me," you declare your independence from excuse, complaint, and delay. Let us now address the question of willpower. Most people rely on it, and most people fail. Willpower is unreliable because it is governed by emotion and circumstance. The weather, your mood, the opinions of others, these are too fickle to base your future upon. Instead, develop an ironclad routine. Build rituals and systems that make the right action easier than the wrong one. Automation is the secret of the world's most disciplined men. They do not waste energy deciding each day what must be done. They have already decided. Their schedule is a command, not a suggestion. You must also understand the role of adversity. Many men collapse when life tests them, forgetting that pain is not an interruption of the process, but part of it. Every hardship is an invitation to recommit. Every setback is a chance to reinforce your vow. When you are tempted to break your word, when quitting looks attractive and comfort beckons, remind yourself, this is the moment that defines you. If you keep your promise now, under pressure, your power doubles. If you surrender, your weakness multiplies. There is no neutral ground. The men who inspire awe, who change industries, build fortunes, or shape nations are not immune to fear or doubt. They simply refuse to surrender their standards. When they fall, they rise without delay. When they are tempted, they remember the cost of compromise. They carry in their minds a vivid image of who they must become, and they protect that image with the ferocity of a lion. This is the path available to you. But it is not for the faint-hearted, nor for those who dabble in half measures. You must also guard against self-pity and self-criticism. These are the refuge of the undisciplined, the language of those who expect results without work. When you slip, and you will, do not collapse into regret. Learn, adjust, and move forward. Forgiveness is the mark of the mature, but only when it is followed by renewed commitment. Do not confuse leniency with love. True self-love is the insistence on discipline, for discipline is the truest form of respect you can show yourself. As your self-command grows, you will notice an extraordinary change. Others will begin to treat you differently, not because you have demanded it, but because you have become it. The respect you command externally is a direct reflection of the respect you give yourself internally. People are drawn to those who are disciplined because they are rare, and because in their presence mediocrity is exposed for what it is. A choice, not a destiny. You will also find that your standards act as a filter. Opportunities, relationships, and situations that once seemed acceptable will now fall short. You will be repelled by anything that contradicts your new identity. This is not arrogance, it is clarity. When you become a man who honors his word, you will no longer tolerate the company of those who do not. You will, perhaps for the first time, feel the liberating power of self-respect. Never forget. The process is simple, but it is not easy. Most men would rather suffer the pain of regret than the pain of discipline. Do not join them. The pain of discipline is temporary. The pain of regret is permanent. Choose wisely and choose every day. Remember, each time you keep your word, you plant the seeds of greatness. Each time you break it, you sow doubt and despair. So rise early. Speak little. Do much. When you make a promise to yourself, no matter how small, let the heavens fall before you break it. In the end, the world does not reward intentions. It rewards execution. The man who keeps his promise to himself walks a path that few dare to follow, but all are compelled to admire. Make this your legacy, that you became the man you once admired in others, the man who commands himself, the man whose word, even to himself, became law. This is the quiet force that moves mountains, the unseen power behind every great achievement. And it is yours if you are willing to pay the price, one promise at a time. By now, you should recognize that self-mastery is not won in a single act of will, but by 1,000 invisible victories earned behind closed doors, when no one is watching and no applause is given. This is where the true separation between the ordinary and the extraordinary takes place. The world may see your results, but it is blind to the unseen battles you win each day. Never forget. The true reward for keeping your promise to yourself is not the recognition of others, but the transformation that happens within. The glory you earn in private will someday be revealed in public, but only after you have proven yourself to yourself again and again. Let us be absolutely clear. Discipline is not a punishment. It is a declaration of independence from weakness. Most men are chained to their appetites, their moods, their fleeting inspirations. They speak of goals, but their daily lives are ruled by the shifting winds of comfort and distraction. If you would rise above this sea of mediocrity, you must build a fortress of habits so strong that even the storms of discouragement and temptation cannot breach its walls. The habits you construct are the bricks in the house of your character. Every act of follow-through strengthens the foundation. Every broken promise weakens it. To develop this internal structure, you must start with the smallest commitments and honor them with the seriousness of a king signing a royal decree. If you promise to read for 10 minutes each day, then read. If you decide to walk, then walk. If you commit to gratitude, then write it down. You must teach your subconscious that your word is final, that when you decide, you act. In the early stages, your old self will rebel. You will be tempted to justify, to make excuses, to delay. But each time you overpower that urge, you are programming your mind for certainty and command. The mind, like a garden, responds to the seeds you plant and the weeds you ignore. The seed of every major breakthrough is sown in the daily act of keeping a promise to yourself. In this way, you transform every day into an opportunity for self-renewal. What most call discipline, you will know as self-respect, the understanding that you are worthy of living up to your own ideals. If you treat your promises as sacred, your confidence will grow beyond calculation. This self-assurance is the soil in which all your ambitions will finally bear fruit. But do not mistake confidence for arrogance. The man who is truly disciplined never boasts of his resolve. He does not need to. His results are his reputation. He walks with quiet certainty, knowing that he is the architect of his own destiny. This kind of man does not wait for inspiration to strike. He generates it by his actions. Inspiration is for the amateurs. Professionals rely on discipline. It is crucial to address another dimension, your environment. You may build your habits and master your mind, but if you continually surround yourself with people and influences that undermine your standards, your progress will be slow or even reversed. Ruthlessly protect the environment in which you operate. The world is full of voices, some encouraging, many more that tempt you to relax, to let up, to compromise. Guard your mind against these influences as you would guard your home from thieves. Choose your company carefully. Let only those who reinforce your standards have access to your energy. The same applies to the information you consume. What you read, listen to, and watch is the diet of your mind. Just as you cannot build a strong body on junk food, you cannot build a strong mind on mental junk. Seek out books, lectures, and conversations that elevate you. Fill your mind with the thoughts of the disciplined, the courageous, and the accomplished. You become what you think about. You also become what you keep in your environment, what you tolerate, what you repeat. Raise your standards in all things. One of the greatest challenges you will face on this path is the fatigue that comes from long-term consistency. The excitement of new goals fades. The novelty of change disappears. This is where most men abandon their promise. They mistake boredom for failure, monotony for futility. Do not fall into this trap. Boredom is not a sign to quit. It is a sign that you are on the verge of true mastery. When the work becomes routine, your mind has finally surrendered to your will. The prize is now within reach. To counter this fatigue, break your journey into stages. Celebrate small wins. Acknowledge progress, but do not become complacent. Remind yourself daily of your vision, why you started, and who you promised to become. Use visualization, affirmation, and journaling as tools to refresh your spirit. When you hit a plateau, see it as a challenge to innovate, to raise your standards yet again, to demand even more of yourself. The journey of discipline never ends, but the rewards multiply with every mile. Remember, every test you face is not just a challenge, but a question. Are you the man you promised to become, or are you merely pretending? Only you can answer. And you answer not with your words, but with your actions, day after day, promise after promise, until the habit of self-command is so deeply rooted that nothing can shake it. This is the process by which the extraordinary is made from the ordinary. As you continue on this path, you will discover a new sense of power within. You will notice that procrastination, fear, and self-doubt no longer hold you hostage. You will move quickly, speak clearly, and act decisively. Your self-respect will radiate in your posture, your voice, and your results. You will begin to attract respect, trust, and opportunity, not by demanding them, but by embodying the kind of man who deserves them. There will be temptations, there always are. The world offers shortcuts and justifications for breaking your word. It will tell you that standards are old-fashioned, that discipline is unnecessary, that happiness is found in ease. Refuse to listen. The deepest satisfaction comes not from fleeting comfort, but from the hard-won victory of doing what you said you would do every time, especially when it's difficult. A word about setbacks. Do not fear them. You will slip. You may falter. But never let one broken promise become an avalanche. The disciplined man is not flawless. He is simply relentless. When you fail, admit it quickly. Learn the lesson. Reinforce your resolve. Begin again immediately. Over time, you will notice that your recovery becomes faster and your lapses fewer. In this, you become truly unstoppable, not because you are never knocked down, but because you always rise faster than you fall. If you wish to truly master this art, teach it to others. Share your journey. Hold your friends and family to higher standards, not through criticism, but through your example. Create a culture of self-command wherever you go. A rising tide lifts all boats, and as you raise your own standards, you will naturally inspire others to do the same. The disciplined man does not keep his power to himself. He multiplies it in the lives of those around him. In the end, the greatest victory is not over the world, but over yourself. The man who can keep his word to himself consistently, relentlessly, joyfully, has achieved a mastery that few ever experience. He is no longer the servant of circumstance, the victim of emotion, or the slave of habit. He has become the master of his fate and the captain of his soul. This, my friend, is the very definition of success. Never forget. Life will test your resolve at every turn. Each day offers you the choice to honor your promise or betray it. Your destiny is written not in grand gestures, but in the quiet, daily victories of self-discipline. Make your word to yourself sacred, and you will create a life of dignity, power, and unshakable fulfillment. Let this be your legacy. Stand now at the threshold of your life's greatest achievement and recognize the last distance between who you are and who you could become is crossed not by public deeds, but by private resolve. In this culminating moment, ask yourself, how much of what you have begun have you finished? How many promises spoken in the heat of ambition have quietly faded when the world wasn't watching? The true measure of greatness is not found in one's intentions, but in the invisible line that connects every day's actions with every day's affirmation. Most men fail because they allow their word to themselves to expire in the darkness of fatigue, distraction, and doubt. But you are not most men. You are the one who will cross the final mile, because you have made a contract with yourself and you intend to keep it. Let us be direct. The world has enough dreamers and planners. It suffers from a shortage of finishers. The difference between the many who wish and the few who achieve is simple. The achiever finishes what he starts, even after the mood that inspired the promise has vanished. This final chapter is not about the excitement of new beginnings, but the iron-willed discipline to see your word through to the end. It is about resilience. It is about keeping your oath to yourself when the rewards are not immediate, the obstacles are relentless, and the path is lonely. You must therefore understand that every promise you make to yourself is a test of your character, a test of your endurance, and ultimately a test of your destiny. When you make a vow to yourself, no matter how small, you step into a sacred contract. You set a standard by which your subconscious will judge all future actions. If you keep your word, your self-confidence grows like an oak from an acorn. If you betray it, your faith in yourself shrivels, and each subsequent promise becomes weaker, more easily broken. So, let your word become your law. Let your commitments, once made, be as binding as if etched in stone. When fatigue weighs heavy and the temptation to quit becomes a siren song, remember that the greatest battles are fought in the quiet recesses of your own mind. This is where the mediocre fall and the master rises. The disciplined man learns to welcome discomfort as a sign that he is alive and growing. Each time you persist, especially when comfort calls, you make a declaration to your very soul. I am in command. I decide how this story ends. Such declarations, repeated in action, rewrite your identity. You are no longer a man who tries. You are a man who finishes. What does it mean to finish? It means that when the motivation is gone, discipline carries you forward. It means the power of your decision outlasts the power of your mood. It means you do what you said you would do, whether the world sees you or not. This is the iron thread that runs through the heart of every successful man. The unbreakable habit of honoring self-made promises. Your brain will resist, your emotions will rebel, but you must remain unyielding. Every time you override hesitation, you turn your will into an unstoppable force. And now, with each promise fulfilled, you will experience something remarkable, a quiet but unshakable confidence, a sense of worth that cannot be faked or borrowed. Your mind, having been trained to obey your word, becomes a loyal servant. Your actions align effortlessly with your intentions, and you find yourself achieving in weeks what others struggle to accomplish in years. This is not luck. This is not talent. This is the compounding power of self-discipline, the greatest secret of all high achievement. But beware. With power comes the subtle temptation to let up, to reward yourself with ease after periods of discipline. Do not be seduced by this trap. The man who endures over the long haul is not the one who makes a single sprint, but the one who trains himself to make discipline a way of life. Build rituals that anchor your standards, daily reflections, affirmations, and reviews. Hold yourself accountable, not just for results, but for the process. Make excellence your default setting. The external victories that the world celebrates are only shadows of the internal victories you claim each day. Those who see only the end result will call you lucky or gifted, but you and you alone will know the price paid in silence, in sacrifice, in stubborn perseverance. Let this be your secret source of pride, the knowledge that you have kept your word to yourself against all odds. It is this inner fidelity that transforms ordinary men into legends. For the man who finishes what he starts, who carries his promises across the line from intention to reality, possesses a magnetic quality. People trust him, rely on him, and are drawn to him not for what he has, but for what he is. Opportunity follows certainty. Wealth follows integrity. Lasting happiness follows the discipline to honor your own word. In your journey, you will inevitably encounter failure, discouragement, and even betrayal by others or by your own past self. When this happens, do not wallow in regret. Begin again, stronger. Each day is a blank page. Let go of yesterday's broken promises and make a new vow, but this time bring to it the lessons learned. Every completed promise is a brick in the fortress of your self-mastery. Every broken promise, a crack to be repaired. You are always building. Make sure you are building something worthy of your own respect. And if you reach a point where your promise seems too daunting, too overwhelming to complete, break it into smaller pieces. Finish the smallest part. Celebrate it. Then do the next. Consistency over time will move mountains that sheer force cannot. The world remembers finishers, not starters. Let your reputation above all be this: he finishes what he begins. In the final analysis, the promise you make to yourself is the birthplace of all achievement, all confidence, all leadership, and all fulfillment. Guard it. Honor it. Nurture it. Your destiny is not determined by circumstances, but by the unwavering commitment to your own word. The universe rewards the man who proves day after day that he can be trusted with himself. And once you have earned that trust, there is nothing, absolutely nothing, that can stand in your way. So go forth now. Do not simply wish, plan, or hope. Commit. Say to yourself, I will, and I will not quit until it is done. Let this be the silent engine that drives your life forward, the golden thread that binds your past, present, and future together in a tapestry of relentless achievement. Make your promise unbreakable, and watch as the world conspires to open doors for the man who keeps faith with himself. You are that man. Now finish the journey.